Hey, y'all, welcome back to In the Blind podcast. My name is Eric Gunderson. This is my co-host, Mr. Stephen Barker-Lyle.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
We are country duo Love and Theft, and today we are joined by a good friend of ours, a guy that has been killing the game here in Nashville for a long time, originally from Lake City, Florida. Please welcome Mr. Adam Sanders.
What's up, boys? Excited to be here. Hey, this is my first day back to work.
Is it?
Yeah, bro, I have, for the last 10 days, 2 weeks, I've been completely checked out. Like,
good for you.
Man, the finale for the road was the 21st, and then we went into Christmas.
It's my birthday, and I spent my evening watching the finale.
Hey,
So.
well, happy late birthday. And then, man, I went to Texas for 5 or 6 days and just went on a hunting spree.
That's fun.
And then as soon as I got back, was the last 2 days of deer season, and so I've been out in the woods the last couple of days. But today, I finally said, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get back into my emails, get back into social media, all that. But like, I had to take a break, man, because I was exhausted after this past year.
Yeah, I mean, you've been burning the candle at both ends. It seems like for a while now.
And you were busy before that show, so now you're even busier.
Yeah, I mean, but it's good problems to have, right?
Yeah,
I
those are the
good,
problems
so.
we dream of.
That's right. Yeah, if you're sitting at home and nothing's moving, it's like that's the worst. So.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. Let's talk about the road. I mean, it was a cool concept. I mean, as an artist in town, like I'd heard rumblings about the show and was curious who was going to be on there, and didn't know much about it. You have shows like American Idol, The Voice. American Idol, it seems like largely undiscovered talent, and The Voice is kind of somewhere in the middle where there's undiscovered talent, but then the producers find artists that have had deals and that are really talented. And then all of y'all were people that I knew, that I respect, that I love, cool. And I was like, yes, finally these guys are getting their shot. And just watching the whole thing was incredible. I mean, to see you and how you've developed as an artist. I mean, we've played shows together over the years. We've run in the same circles for a long time, and I've always followed you on the songwriting side more than anything. I remember our boy Aaron Ellis, one day we were down in Key West. He was like, man, you heard what Adam Sanders is doing as an artist? It's incredible. And that's when I dove back into that stuff. And I was like, man, this guy's incredible. So to see you on that show, it was just really cool to see somebody that, we've seen grinding their ass off for years.
Man.
I mean, you're just a dog. I mean, you work your ass off. You're on the road all the time. I mean, to see all that come to fruition for you was really, really incredible. And I remember,
it's fun.
We're great friends with Channing Wilson also. And, to see y'all two up there at the end like that. I mean, it was just. I mean, I guess there are three of you, but I didn't know her as well, so it was fun to watch. But how was the experience? I mean, what was it for you from your perspective?
First off, thank you guys for saying that.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, massive fan of you guys. You guys were some of the first people I ever met when I moved to Nashville, and like we've had a lot of great nights in this bar here, through the years, and some we remember, some we don't. But yeah, man, I never in a million years dreamed that I would ever do anything like the road. Partly because the concept of the road didn't exist before the road. When you think of singing competition shows, of course, you've got your American Idols and you're the Voices and that sort of thing. And none of that appealed to me ever. Like, I was always a guy that was like, man, I want to catch my break through the backdoor channels of Nashville, which is songwriting and just grinding it out on the road, and just kind of build it that way. But I got a cold call a year before the show ever even started. From a guy named Chris Alderman, and he was Blake Shelton's production manager, and he was like, hey, can I pitch you for a show? And at the time, I was like, sure, but I had no idea what it was. And I was also in a period of my career where I felt like I was looking for, like, some wind to catch in my sails. Like, I kind of felt like I was in this, like, plateau era of my career where, I had accomplished some good things, independently, and had reached over 200 million streams, and was able to open for some big artists, and but there was just kind of like this like what is next? There's nothing really here to carry it. And so he pitched me for the show. Shortly after, I get a call from casting, and they explained to me the concept of the show, which is, hey, we're going to go out and open for a major touring artist. I don't think that they had Keith in mind yet. You guys are going to get to play your original music. You're going to play full band, and you're going to go to different cities all around the country and, basically as close to a real authentic tour as you can get. And I was, in my mind, thinking, okay, well, if I've spent the last 10 years touring already,
Yeah.
and I can go play my music, original music, full band, which is what I think best represents me as an artist. Why not get some TV exposure behind it, you know,
Yeah.
and like,
Bingo.
you know, like give it a shot, you know, like, so I decided to do it, and man, it was just an awesome experience because for me, I was very strategic with how I approached each show with what songs I played when and where, and I saved some songs for later in the show in case I was to
Smart.
make it. You know, I didn't sort of like front load it. And man, it could have worked out so many different ways, but for whatever reason, from the very beginning, it just felt right in my spirit to do it. I didn't necessarily know I was going to win, but I just felt like it was something I needed to do. It obviously, you know, worked out in my favor, and here we are.
That's
So,
awesome.
That's
dude.
amazing.
yeah.
That's such a cool story, and again, hearing that side of it and hearing your perspective is pretty cool too. As far as the origins of the actual show, was this kind of Blake's brainchild or his whole crew, or was it something that was brought
So
to
from
him?
what I was told, they had the concept for this back during COVID, and COVID killed the concept.
Oh, dang.
So Lee Metzger, who is a big producer, one of the main producers on The Voice, who worked with Blake.
Right.
I think Blake and him got together, and they thought, why is The Voice not creating stars?
Yes.
Like we're creating household names, and but there's nothing really following after that. And so I think that they come to the realization that, okay, we're basically making these artists glorified karaoke singers because they're literally just doing cover songs.
Right.
But when it comes time to, okay, now what do you say? A lot of times these artists don't have it sort of built around that, you know, like
Right.
they're starting fresh. Like, okay, we have the recognition now, but what is the brand? What is the original music? What now happens when you have to truly go on the road and open for an artist or headline a show instead of doing one or two songs a night? Do you have the ability to connect with a crowd instead of just one or two moments? And so I think that they thought, okay, we need to get some guys and girls that have been grinding it out and been doing this, that are just literally a moment away from breaking through in their careers, that have the foundation built. And so I think they assembled, you know, some guys and girls that musically was like a smorgasbord. Like you had me, that was kind of the 90s country meets new. You had Channing Wilson, who's kind of that throwback outlaw thing. You got Cassidy Daniels, that can sing the phone book and just literally can just belt, and then all in between, you know, everywhere that you want to, you know, for whatever type of music you like, there was someone on that show, I think, that you could identify with. And so, yeah, they put all this together. But I remember a couple shows in, Lee showed me the pilot for the show, and the original headliner was Kenny Chesney.
Really?
And it was supposed to be in stadiums. And COVID kind of killed all of that. And so they rebuilt it all back up and got, you know, obviously the funding for it. And I think they had a few different artists in mind for who the headliner was going to be. And I think Keith was sort of a last-minute add to the show. But I felt like for me, it was honestly a kind of a leg up, because I feel like out of all the artists that were there, my music kind of fit in his world a little bit better than some of the
definitely see
other,
that,
you know,
for sure.
artists. And so I feel like that was a big advantage.
Yeah.
And then I think all the experience that I've had on the road for 10 years, you know, kind of prepped me for that moment of being able to be fast and light and know the situation. Like, I feel like the first show in, I identified pretty quick what it was going to take to win this.
Yeah.
And I just leaned into that. And at some nights, I felt like I had to sort of overperform, but that's what it called for to win this. Like, it was almost coming down, because we had such a short amount of time to capture an audience.
Yeah,
You
what
had
was
two
it? How
songs.
much time was okay?
Yeah, so like basically each night you had an original and you had a cover that you could sing, but we're doing cut down versions of those songs, and you guys know for film and TV what that's like. And so you go out, you open for Keith each night, you play two songs, really half of two songs. So you've got a total of 3 minutes to sort of capture an audience. So you had to be, for me, I was leaning into crowd participation and bringing the crowd into what I do. And I felt like that was one of the best things that I do as an artist, like for Cassidy's sake, she would go out and hit this massive note and hold it, and the crowd would be like, "Oh my God, like what a voice," you know? And so that was her sort of ace up her sleeve. And Channing, you know, was kind of that strong silent type that just the second he hit, I heard that train was on, and you're like, woo, this is that throwback stuff, you know, we're missing. You know, so I feel like everyone had sort of like their card that they played.
For sure.
And I think it just come down to, you know, 3 artists that is the best at what they do, and nobody else can beat them at what they do best. And it was sort of pitting out all 3 of our best against each other, you know. And I think that's how.
Well, and just I think even ever since the first time I ever saw you perform, I was like, holy shit, this guy's got it. Like, you're just the full package as far as. I mean, I think seeing you is one of the most entertaining shows I've ever seen. Even. I think we were all on a show with Luke Bryan at one point. Yeah. And I remember watching you play. I was like, shit, he's performing at a level like different than Luke even. Like the energy that you brought to the room was just, you know, palpable. You could taste it.
Yeah, you're comfortable, which is like huge. So many people feel like, what do I do?
I'll tell you this. This is the only thing I've ever thought about doing is singing and performing and writing. And so I truly just love like every bit of it. Like I've said before, it's not about like being famous and people cheering. I could literally go on a road trip in my truck somewhere for 5-6 hours, no one else around, and I could put on, you know, an album and sing every word and belt just like I'm singing in front of 100,000 people and love every second of it. Like I just love to sing, man. I love to perform. And I think now also too, there's another wave of gratitude and appreciation because I've had to grind for so long, and there were times in my career that I didn't know if I would ever reach, you know, my ultimate goals and dreams. And so to now be here 10, 12 years later in this position, like there's a whole nother wave of just being grateful. And I think you can see that on stage, man, because it's like I didn't know if I'd ever get that chance to play the Ryman, you know, and so was able to do that, or, you know, all these other things. And so appreciate you guys saying that. You know,
for sure.
And you guys are, in my opinion, you know, 2 of the best voices in Nashville, and the way y'all blend together. I mean, you guys have, you know, you guys help shape a whole generation of music, you know, which is, you know, pretty awesome, man. Yeah. So,
wow. Thank you for saying that.
Absolutely.
It means a lot. What about your early days? I mean, I know I've read, I've heard, I mean, ever since I've known you, it's like what you just said, you grown up singing, you love it. And I mean, I think you can see that in everything that you do. Growing up, you know, in Florida, when did you know, like, man, I love to sing,
bro?
Like,
this
is my thing.
A1 from day one is what I like to say.
Yeah.
I literally started singing as early as I could talk. Music has always been in my family. I have 2 grandfathers on both my mom and dad's side that were singers in their day, and, you know, were sort of regionally known, sort of in the gospel world. My dad can play guitar and sing. My mom can play piano. So, like, I was just bit by the music bug all the way around. Like, everyone in my family has, you know, got some kind of musical talent, you know, for the most part. But I grew up kind of like every other small town American kid, you know, like I loved sports, and I loved the outdoors, and, you know, going to the river, you know, with friends and that sort of stuff. But music was always the constant in my life, you know, while I was sort of dabbling in, you know, school sports, or, you know, going to church, or, you know, the outdoors, all that stuff. Music was the thing that was always there from day one. And so my family knew that I pretty much wanted to graduate high school and move to Nashville as soon as I graduated. And the fate of how I got my start in the music industry is I have an uncle that's in the music industry. He's a session musician. You guys have probably worked with him at some point, you know, on demos, or he might have even played on some of your stuff. His name's Scotty Sanders, but he's played on tons of, you know, albums and different things. When I was 12, he called and he said, "Hey, Adam, have you ever thought about writing songs?" And at 12 years old, like, wow. That did not compute to me. I just knew that Alan Jackson was my childhood idol, and I loved singing and playing. And he said, "You should look into writing songs." He said, "I know you want to move to Nashville one day. That could be your way into the music industry." So I hung up the phone.
Good advice.
Yes.
Especially that young, dude.
Yeah. Just planting a seed, man. Yeah. And so I hung up the phone. My dad helped me write a song the next day. And then I started writing in high school and going to field parties and playing, a song that I wrote, for all my classmates around a bonfire. And I realized that I enjoyed the process of it. And then I moved to Nashville, start coming to winners and losers and networking and, meet guys like you and find kind of like my crew, of people, start co-writing and working in construction. Fast forward 2 years, I get my first publishing deal with Big Yellow Dog, get my first cut 6 months in on the Luke Bryan Crash My Party album, and it's exactly the way I got my start, all because he planted the seed when I was 12.
That's so cool.
That's incredible.
Pretty wild.
That's nuts. You don't hear stories that really start with planting a seed like that, and then you watch the seed grow into what it is that you've become. How's your relationship with that particular uncle?
Yeah, man.
Now, I mean, is he, somebody in town that you lean on quite a bit?
100%. He has always been a guy that has been great at just showing me a door, but not forcing me through a door or not telling everyone else around me or him how great I am. Like, he's not an uncle that's just, oh, you got to check out my nephew.
Right.
He's the greatest thing ever. It's just been more of, like, for another example, I remember as a kid going to sessions, to watch him, play on, albums or demos, and he would hand me a chart. And I look at a chart, and I'm like, what is this?
Wow.
But he was already getting my mind into, like, you probably need to know what a 1 and a 3 and a 4 and a diamond, is one day. So when I moved to Nashville, when I was not working in construction with my dad, I would just go shadow him in the studios. Like, I'd call him and be like, hey, where are you today? And he'd be like, well, I'm at Omni, 10, 2, and 6. So I would go down and I'd say, hey, print me out a chart. So for every song they would demo that day, I'd sit there and look at a chart. Now, he wouldn't walk by and say, okay, this is what this is, blah, blah, blah. He just handed me the chart and said, okay, now figure it out.
That's amazing.
So it took me, obviously, a while to start to put the pieces together, like what they meant and the terminology.
Right.
But you guys know, like, when you get in the studio and you want to take something out of your head and put it, into speakers, like, you've got to have a way to communicate with these guys to be able to do that. And so I learned how to do all that and read charts. And so that's just another example of some things that he did.
Invaluable.
Yep.
I mean, especially as an artist, because early on, I remember plenty of times being in the studio thinking, man, I want to say this. I want to get this out there, but how's it going to sound when I say, hey, y'all ever heard that Fleetwood Mac record? Can you make it sound like that? Instead of saying, like, calling out the changes and seeing what you would rather hear there instead of the 4. Like,
yes. Yep.
And it just, you went from almost feeling like the odd man out in the room to, all right, as the artist, if you can actually talk to a Tom Bukovac or some of these guys and get on their level as far as the terminology even goes, all of a sudden there's a wall that comes down and there's kind of a mutual respect almost. It's like, oh, this kid knows what he's talking about. Yeah. Maybe I'll listen. They don't
even
always, but it's cool.
I got some co-writes out of that situation too. Like, I would go and set in on these sessions, and I guess after like a month or two, it was sort of, you're graduated in by association. People just saw me there all the time, and before I knew it, they were like, heck, we should write sometime, and it was like hit songwriters, that were saying, hey, let's co-write, and so, it's crazy, man. It was invaluable, but it definitely helped lay the foundation for my career. And then, going into writing, and then, a few years after being strictly a songwriter in town, and getting some cuts and, some songs on radio, my publisher then sort of turned to me and said, well, let's start putting out music on yourself, know? And so that started that process of starting to be an independent artist and, having songs out, like on the highway, back when John Marks was there, he was so good to all of us and,
Loved him.
Helped me, kind of get my start there. And
I just talked to him at the Y for about an hour, like 3 days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he lives right around the corner from me too, so I see him and Colleen all the time.
Yeah, man, I hadn't seen him in a little while, but man, what a great guy, and he helped so many artists.
That's champion for artistry, and he loves music and he loves people. It's not about the numbers always for him, which
absolutely.
I always loved.
I'll tell you, even to that point, when we went in to meet with him to get a song of mine started on XM, he told me, he said, I don't think your song's going to work. He said, but I'm going to do it to try it. And it ended up going number 5 on the chart. We sold 80,000, I think,
it
iTunes
worked.
downloads, you know, and so like,
That's
but even
darn
he
good.
came back and said, I didn't think this was going to work. He said,
Yeah.
but you proved me wrong. And he was like, I'm going to keep playing your stuff. So
That's awesome.
So to your point, you know, like he was just a champion of just trying things and recognizing a shift in the business and trying to find different things to move it. So
Yeah, I think if you go back and you listen to the Highway during that time, or if you can remember back to what was being played on the Highway, and even when he was programming, you know, K-Son out in San Diego, it's like his station always sounded fresh and unique, and the Highway when he was running it sounded fresh and unique, and you knew that if you turned that on, it wasn't going to sound identical to, you know, top 25 songs being played on country radio. And I think, you know, people that have come after him, some of the people before him were always pretty scared, but, you know, that man in particular was just, like you said, willing to take chances on artists and people that he believed in. And it didn't have to have a story. It didn't have to have crazy numbers. It was like, no, I hear something here, but more than that, I believe in this artist and I'm going to give them a chance. And
man, I miss those days because, you know, man, like it just feels like just the general the general consensus around the industry is that like labels or, you know, publishing companies or anyone, like now it's all analytics based. Like there is no more gut feeling, and like there is no more like true song people that can sort of say that's a hit, you know, or whatever. You know, it's all based off of, well, how many views did it get? You know, how many streams did it get? Or, well, we can't sign you to a publishing deal till you get a couple holds or a cut. You know, it's like, well, where's the I know what this is going to turn into, you know, like with work ethic and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So it's a dying art, you know, unfortunately, you know, but I do think that there is a world that can live cohesively with the new aged model of, you know, analytics and that sort of thing, where it can be sort of a marriage of the two. It doesn't have to be one way or the other, you know, or at least I hope that you know, we can get to that.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword, I think, also. It's because we have these numbers, we have the analytics, so we can use that and, all right, okay, this is the lane, I'm going to take this down. But then sometimes you get so bogged down with those numbers and the analytics that you lose sight of the artistry and you lose sight of why you got into this in the first place. It's because I love music. I love impacting people. I love seeing a reaction out of someone hearing a song for the first time. And then, you know, I don't think that that's so much the focus anymore. And I hate that. But like you said, there is, I think, a place for those type of artists to live. And I think, you know, with the kind of inundation, oversaturation of mediocre music these days, I do think that the really talented artists, as long as they keep their head down and keep grinding, they usually always do, you know, resurface or surface as, you know, kind of a front runner, just because the talent does speak for itself.
Yeah.
It's probably been so fun, man, seeing, I mean, your streaming numbers have probably been, like, wildly going up, right? Because you already had good ones, right?
Yeah, we had really good ones.
You didn't have to take anything down for the show, did you?
I did not, which was a really cool thing. You know, to start the show, they sent out a participation agreement. And the participation agreement originally stated for mine, I could not release any music the second I signed that participation agreement to be on the road. If I win the show, I get a record deal. If you get the money, and then you also get the stage coach opportunity, and then also Red Bull Jukebox. And I emailed back and was like, look, I'd love this opportunity. This feels right to me, but there's two things that I'd have to switch. One, I got to be able to release music up until the first air date of the show. Because think about it. If we shot all this February, March, and April, and they said, hey, this is going to air in the fall. Yeah. Well, you don't know when you're shooting it if it's 100% going to get picked up.
Yeah.
So what happens if you agreed that, hey, I'm not going to release any more music until the first air date of the show? What if it doesn't get picked up until the following year? Now you're on the hook for a whole year of no music being released, but at least let the artist release music up until the first air date, so that way you know when it's going, and then you sort of take your hands off of it and you don't release anything that would conflict with the show. So I asked for that, which they agreed, and then I also asked, I can't accept a record deal that I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love a record deal, but, you know, hypothetically, what if this is, you know, the worst deal ever and it's 100%er, you know, to their favor? And so I got that changed also, which was, and once
amazing.
that happened, I was like, okay, let's do the show. And so that was a good thing. So I actually set up where I released 3 songs right before the road started, and it was 3 songs that I played on the road. So for every original that I did, I had versions already out in the marketplace for people to go find. So if they, heard, man, I heard the song "Cat in a Hat" by Adam Sanders, on the road, I got to go find it, and then they got a place to listen to it instead of, well, man, when does this come out? Like you want to be able to feed that, and so that was the thought process behind it. And even some of the originals, I had versions of myself already out also. Like I was able to sort of do some of the songs that I had written for other artists as my cover.
That's cool.
So I did "Ain't Worth the Whiskey," that I wrote with Cole.
Yeah.
That was a number 1 as my cover, but I was the writer, and I would say that, like, hey, here's my first number 1 I ever had. I wrote this. Here's "Ain't Worth the Whiskey."
Yeah.
And I think that like created some validation, but I have a live version of that out on my,
That's great.
DSPs and, under my channel, and a few others as well. So that was,
awesome.
that was pretty cool.
One thing I've always respected about you is you're kind of business savvy and how you've approached the business and how successful you've been. And from the outside looking in, I'm like, man, how's this guy doing this without this piece that we were told we have to have? And then, all right, we bit the bullet, we signed on the dotted line. Now we have these pieces and it's not working for us yet. We were told we had to have that to work. Now I'm watching you be successful doing what we were told we had to have without it. So how does your business savvy and what you've experienced in this business, how did that play into this whole record deal thing? And and talking earlier, you decided not to take the deal. And, from my perspective,
spoiler alert,
it's crazy because so many people in this town would cut off their left hand to have a record deal. And I think people just hear record deal and think that's what's going to take them to the next level. But as we all know, it can be, the anchor that drags you straight to the bottom. So have you had people in your corner kind of advising you on, the pros and cons of taking the deal versus not, and obviously having decided not to? Kind of what was your thought process there, and why, and how has that worked out so far?
Well, I'll start with thanks for saying, all that about business savvy and all that. The reality of it is I've had to learn to be that because for 10 years of my career, I would have cut your arm off and, your leg off to have a record deal.
Right.
The one without the bracelets.
Yes. Yeah, we don't want that one. No, that was too pretty.
Thank you.
Too pretty and too heavy.
But I would have done anything for those opportunities like you're talking about. But they were just never in the cards for me. Like I came pretty close to signing the deal with Sony back in the day, and they decided to sign Kane Brown, during that time period. And obviously that was a huge thing that worked out great for, Kane and Sony. But I've had to sort of learn how to do a lot of aspects of this business because there were times in my career where I didn't have any of that. It wasn't like it was offered and I just said no. It was just not in the cards.
Right.
And I learned a couple years back, everyone's always asked, well, like, why have you just grinded for so long? A lot of people would have just sort of chalked it up that like, hey, this is not going to happen for me. Yeah. And I wondered that a lot too, and I've come to the realization that because music was sort of like born into me, and I really feel like it was a gift from God and just a love for music, I've learned that no matter the success that it brings, I will always write songs, I will always record songs, I will always play shows, no matter to the capacity that it is. So for me, it's never felt like, well, if it doesn't reach this level of success, I quit. Because it's what I do, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, if writing 2 number 1s and winning the road is all that I ever do in the eyes of the public, I'm still going to wake up every day and go write songs and play shows and do what I do because I'm a lifer at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel like work. It's what I've always known. And so I think that in those times where I didn't have the booking agent, or I didn't have the manager, or I didn't have a label, or, someone helping with social media or any of that stuff, I just sort of dug down and did it because it's what I do. And so I've been able to learn a lot about a lot of different facets of the business, not just being an artist and finding your brand, which is very important, or not just writing songs and trying to figure out how to get songs on the radio. Like, I've been the guy that had to sit in the computer and type in ISRC codes to upload, your single to the DSPs and figure out, okay, well, what is your TikTok start time for the audio of this song? Do you want it to start in the chorus? Do you want it to start at the beginning of the song? Like, all those things. And so I think fast forwarding all that into winning the road and then being offered the record deal, there's just something about it that didn't feel right in my spirit. The show itself did. From day one, I just felt this gut calling, and call it a voice from God or whatever. I just felt that it was right. And when it transitioned to the record deal side, there was something about it that just didn't feel right, and we just couldn't come to mutually agreed upon terms. And I know that they're going to crush everything that they do moving forward, and I'm excited to see what they do. But I feel like I'm excited now to find the right partner for me moving forward, whether that is a label or a booking agent or a management, and continue to help build the pieces to my career, where we've now built some momentum back to where we can start to build some things. So I don't really know what is next for me as far as that goes, but regardless, I'm gonna do what I've always done. And if I'm left with just me standing here by myself, I'm gonna keep doing it. And if we build and we can kind of help further this along, I'm all for it. But I want to build it the right way and build it to where it feels right, in my spirit.
I think it's cool for you to say, if you are the last man standing by yourself, I mean, it's kind of how you've gotten to this point, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. And so many people, like I said earlier, are desperate for that chance and that shot, and I feel like you've created a lot of those chances and shots for yourself. And there's a lot of people that I can't say that about many people.
Well, I can tell you this, man, and you guys would agree with this too. Yes, I've worked really hard to get here. There does come a point in time though where like you get tired. Yeah. You get fatigued. And which is why I needed to take, a few weeks off, because I just worked so hard at this. So I welcome at this point in my career, new blood into, my brand and what I'm doing. And I'm all ears. Like I've said, I'll take any meeting that there is, because you never know what's out there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm still going to wake up every day and go write a song and go record music and go play shows, whether it's to 3 people or, 300,000,
Yeah, I don't know what else I would do, man. Like, well, what else are we going to, for me, I don't got a backup plan, dude. I've been doing this so long.
Well, I mean, even for me, it's like, I've tried to create a bunch of different things to like, okay, as a backup plan. And some of those things have been successful, some haven't. But even the successful side of things, like I don't get any type of, I get fulfillment and I'm excited about that type of stuff, but it doesn't even touch the joy and the excitement that I experience when we're on stage playing music. And there's really nothing that will ever touch that for
Nothing
me.
like it.
And I think one thing I'm hearing all three of us say, it's like, this is what I feel like I was born to do. And I don't know if I could put that type of effort into something else and appreciate the success that would come from it, because I'd always know in the back of my mind, man, this is still over here. We're just a song away from, being right back in it. And, it's hard to, stay motivated when you do see people around you succeeding that, maybe haven't put in the type of work that you think that you've put in. But I think that's part of it too, is learning how to appreciate other people's success and realize that has nothing to do with me and my artistry.
Well, you're pretty good at pickleball.
Hey, I'm trying to, that's my number one backup plan.
You need to put some more effort into it.
Long and lanky, like, bro.
That's the only reason it works.
Yeah, take 2 steps and you got it. I'll say, to echo that, I think when you make the decision that it's just what you do, there comes a point, and this I'd love to know if you guys have felt this way. There comes a point in your career where I felt like, for me, that I had manufactured a lot of my success through just hard work and determination, and I felt like I was getting in this bad headspace to think I'm the one doing all of this, which is a not a good place to be in.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, he gives you the ability and the endurance. You're just putting in the work to be able to do it, and you're walking through the doors. And so a few years back, I had a prayer that was like, Lord, I can work circles around people in this business because I'm a hard worker. But at some point, you got to open doors for me that I can't open myself. Yeah. I cannot keep manufacturing all this on my own, but I'm willing to do the work. But regardless of whatever happens, I'm in this for life, and this is what I'm always going to do. And I felt like for me, that was such a weight lifted off my shoulders to where now I'm a little bit more wise in where I spend my energy and time, because there was a lot of early years where how many times did you exhaust yourself over things that didn't pan out?
Yeah.
And I think now you can sort of step back and say, okay, where is my time and energy most efficient? And you don't jump into something too soon to realize it's a dead-end road.
Right.
So now where I'm at, I'm just kind of the passenger of all of this. When I prayed that prayer is when I got back on the radio with, a song that I'd written, for Drew Baldridge, a song called Tough People. And I was able to get this opportunity to be on the road and to win the road. All of those things were out of my control. I did not manufacture that. I didn't pick up the phone and say, how do I get in this competition? How do I win the competition? How do I, get, like, all these things started happening by God setting all this up. And I just walked through the door. And so now moving into this new year, not accepting the record deal was a very hard decision. I knew what was at stake. What is the old saying? It's better to have one bird in the... What is the saying? Stephen, help me out here.
One bird in the hand and two in the bush?
Yes. Okay, what if there's not another record deal opportunity for me? What if this is the only one and I'm going to pass on it? But I'm just sort of going where I feel like God leads me, and I know that, whether, there is other opportunities out there, I'm all for it. If not, it just wasn't right, And so I'm just kind of a little lighter on my feet, and I'm not as stressed and worried, as I once was, thinking, man, am I ever going to reach where I want to reach? Because, again, I'm going to do it regardless.
Right.
What did Luke Holmes say? If I wasn't doing this, I'd still be doing this. That's me to a T, so.
That's cool. Now, as far as the $250,000 that you won from this, I know we said Uncle Sam gets a good chunk of that. But as far
Uncle Samuel.
As far as your plans moving forward and recording new music and being strategic as far as continuing to build your team and releasing stuff, obviously, you've said, not sure what happens next, but I would assume, knowing you, that you've got a plan and pretty clear-cut idea for how you want to release things and how you want this to move forward. Can you give us a little insight into, how you're planning to use that? Is that just a nice little check and you're going to, put it in the bank, take your family on a few vacations, or do you have that earmarked for, promotion and marketing?
I think it's a combination of both. My goal is just to play the cards I'm dealt. And right now, as it sits, I'm sitting on some music that I recorded, earlier this year. Before I did the road, I went to the studio and recorded 7 songs. We released 3 of those songs before the road started. So I've got 4 songs I'm sitting on. I'd love to get back in the studio and record 7 more and compile them to a full album project.
Nice.
And of course, I've always sort of self-funded my career.
Right.
Sure, if I need to use some of this money, we're going to do it, but I also am to a spot in my life where I want to enjoy some of this, Good. I want to be able to take my family on a vacation and say, hey, let's just get away for, 4 or 5 days. I want to be able to do a house project, I want to look at my house and say, man, I wish my deck was, a little bit bigger, where I could put a grill up there and,
you like a big deck?
Yeah,
so
big deck.
Eric does too.
Does he?
Yeah, he loves a big deck.
Yeah, I build decks.
He's actually really good at building decks. Aren't you extending your deck for real? Didn't you say that to me the other day?
But I want to be able to enjoy, some of it too. Like I don't want to sink all this money into just furthering the career, because I've worked hard to get here, like I want to be able to not look back, or I want to be able to look back and say, I was able to enjoy the moments too, of it. So I think it's a combination of both, but just playing the cards that I'm dealt. And again, I think the next thing for me is to let the town know, hey, like I'm kind of a free agent. I can release music right now if I want to. I've got some music set up. I'm gonna I'm not gonna wait on anyone to say, okay, now we're gonna go in and record this. No, I'm gonna go in and record the music that I think is right for me and fits my brand, and have that to be able to present to someone to say, I'm gonna keep moving the train. At any point in time, someone wants to get on board with me and help pull, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I think that's
but
a
I'm still
going
to pull the train.
You're the engine,
smart,
and I think you're controlling, the locomotive, and like that's a beautiful place to be able to say, hey, this train's moving, you can jump on. Whereas, we've been in opportunities or situations in our career where it's like we need some fuel for the train to get this thing moving. We're in it, we're ready to go, but we just don't have the the means at this moment. So at that point you'll sell out, you'll make concessions, you'll do things that you absolutely feel like you have to in the moment. A lot of times you look back at it, it's like, man, if we had just waited a couple more days, a couple more weeks, waited for another opportunity, it might have been so much better. But again, you second guess everything.
Which is back to the road for me. I did it because I felt like I had to. I don't think anyone else around me saw my career where I saw it, but I saw it in a bit of, I don't know where it would go from here. I need that shot in the arm, and I needed it for me too, because I was finding myself getting okay with being stagnant. And I knew that I've got to do something to put a little bit of wind in my sails and to juice it up some more. And I also felt like, man, because I had success so early as a songwriter in town, I feel like the industry views me as just the songwriter, and I've been overlooked for so long, and they're not seeing what I've built today versus where I started. I think that first impression, is key. And so I feel like having success early as a songwriter has been a double-edged sword for me, because of course I have felt the successes of being able to, have number ones. But I also feel like I was exposed very early as an artist of not having a lot of stuff figured out and having to sort of mold and figure it out as I go. And so now I felt like I was like, I have to go prove to the industry and the world. I know what we're doing out on the road when I get an opportunity to go out and open for Carrie Underwood or Dustin Lynch or whatever. I know what these fans are saying to me. I know the merch sells. And I know like what guys like you say, like, what you were saying earlier about my show. And I look at it like this many people can't be wrong.
Yeah.
So I got to just prove it. And to me, it was like, all right, I'm about to put my cards down and make you a believer. And my thought was, if I can go and win this show, that is a fan-voted show, which is ultimately the consumer and who buys this, what else do you have to prove at that point? And my thought is if you can't see it after that there's something here, you're never going to see it at that point. Like, I did everything I could do to show you, and I'm still going to keep doing my thing either way. Yeah. But I don't think that the industry's been able to see me in that light yet. Yeah. Like, they haven't been able to go out and watch me play shows and, see what we're doing out on the road.
And I think that was one of the beautiful things about this show in particular, and why I think I enjoyed watching it so much, is because I got to see the artist side of an artist. Yeah. I got to see the artistry. I got to see the development the evolution of that throughout the show. And it's like, watching it from the first week to the finale, it's like I feel like you came into it and you had your shit dialed in from day one. A lot of other people, it's like they slowly caught up to you, but it was fun to watch that. It was almost like I wish they'd give out a most improved award to some of those people, because like it seemed like they were watching you and like, oh shit, this is the bar, this is where he's setting it.
Did you and Shannon get to ride out there?
We wrote a little jingle on the bus like for the road. I don't think they ever used it or anything. There was the top six. We all sat around on the bus and going down the road. I think we were going to Little Rock or something, and wrote a little jingle, but we didn't get a chance to really like write. Man, I feel like for me, that show required so much of my time and energy and effort that that's all I could think about. Like I had to just, there was no room for writing or any of that. Like I didn't have any ambition for any of that. And I'll tell you, when we come off the show, the finale I think would have put me, including callbacks and everything, would have been 10 solid weeks that I was not in Nashville straight.
Oh, wow.
Or not at my house in my bed. And so when I come off the road, man, I was so exhausted that for a month, I didn't have any ambition to go to the gym and work out. Like, I couldn't write. Like, I was just, it took everything I had to get through that gauntlet and win it. That when it was done, I just kind of felt like it took me a month to get back motivated again because I feel like it required so much because it was, again, and it could have easily went a different way, but I feel like my experience and because I was so particular and I thought about it top to bottom, every way, every scenario is what ultimately won the show for me.
Yeah.
Did you guys share on the tours catering? Have you had your own catering? How did that work?
We had a lot of Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel was the one of the title sponsors.
Okay.
So we had a lot of Cracker Barrel. Yeah, we had some catering.
I was wondering like the difference of a show jumping on a tour that was already a tour and like some of those different things. Like, could you bring a crew person with you that you knew? Like, could you bring your own? No, okay.
No, sir. It was you and you only.
Yeah, and here's
you and a guitar.
And here's the people that are gonna be working with you.
Yes.
Hope you like them.
Yeah. So we used all the same band.
Yeah.
It was all session guys, and they were all incredible. All the the ear monitor guys, front of house, it was all the same. They had it all sort of set up, and they would just, bring you in, and you would do your thing, and so yeah, they had it all sort of dialed in.
Okay,
that's great. So you got Cat in the Hat out, right?
Yep.
Is that the most recent single?
No, so it's it was the single that started the most recent wave of music for me.
Gotcha.
You guys know that you guys don't know me as a hat wearing guy, but I moved to Nashville wearing a cowboy hat.
Really?
But yeah,
I feel like childhood, I remember that though.
Very early on, I always performed as a kid with a hat on because Alan Jackson was my idol. Okay, and
is there any truth to the fact that I think I read this that you used to write acceptance speeches as a kid for Entertainer of the Year and stuff?
I would.
That's
I would
incredible.
literally. I remember being.
I love that.
8 years old, watching the CMA Awards, the ACMs.
Wow.
And I would go into my room and write this. First, I want to thank God for winning this award today. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my team. I would do that. And I would rehearse it as if I won. But I always wore a hat growing up. Moved to Nashville wearing a cowboy hat. Somewhere along the way, 6 months into it, a year, I just kind of ditched it, put the ball cap on, and I've always been a ball cap guy, pretty much in town. But 90s, there's an era of music that is the roots of my music that I've always had a vision to integrate into my music. And I feel like along the way, I have slowly started to find the right way to add it in, but it was never exactly the right recipe per se. This latest batch of music, I feel like I finally unlocked it. And so I grew up on 90s country, obviously. Alan was my guy. But I think there's eras in the eras of 90s country. 91 versus 99 is drastically different in the styles. And my favorite music, the way that I learned to sing and just my knowledge of music is late 90s, let's say 96 to 2001. That era, for whatever reason, of music has always been my favorite stuff. And I think it's what fits my voice the most, and just my natural ability.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to find a way to add that into my music and bring it back in a new way. Very similar to what Zach Top has done, but Zach sort of has this early, like late 80s, early 90s thing. Like, I want the next wave. I want like the early Chesney, the early McGraw, the ballads of Mark Wills, that sort of stuff. And so I feel like we unlocked that in how we create that music. And so Cat in Hat was sort of the first song that came out of that batch of music. And it felt like the first and the best way to introduce me as wearing a cowboy hat. Because I thought to myself a few years ago, I'm going to go all in on this, and I don't really care. Like, this was kind of before this resurgence started happening of 90s country. I just knew that I found myself always listening to that stuff and thinking, man, like, where's this at? And so I just wanted to lean into it as much as I possibly could. And so Cat in the Hat, I feel like, is the song that sort of introduces that thing to the fullest of what I am and where we're going moving forward.
Well, that's smart,
and it's
too.
kind of unapologetic, of I'm just going to do me and I don't really care what anybody else is doing. You know, like I think the best thing about our industry right now is there's something for everyone.
That's so true.
Oh, yeah.
There was a time when we first got to town, it was probably pretty weighted a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well, you
bro
almost
country.
felt like, okay, well, if I'm not this, then I need to get into this lane because it's only these couple things that work.
Okay, but now I feel like it's like Costco. It's like whatever you like, whether that is pop country, more of a rockin' style. If you want as country as you can imagine, you've got it. Or if you want, red dirt. I mean, every aspect of country music is now relevant.
Yep.
And so for me, I'm like, I'm just going to do what I love, and I think that there's a big market for that out there also, because I think there's a lot of guys and girls that think, okay, it's great that we've got a guy that is kind of the new wave of Alan Jackson, George Strait. And I'm talking about guys like Zach Top and, Jake Worthington and, those kinds of guys. Where's the next wave of that? Like, who's the, the next wave of some of that stuff that we all grew up on loving, that doesn't feel like it exists, in the landscape today. So trying to figure out how to make that relevant again is my thought.
And I think one of the beautiful things about coming off of a show like The Road, and especially as you're saying, Cat in the Hat's a reintroduction of yourself kind of as this hat-wearing, country, mid-90s country guy.
Yep.
And I think there's not a whole lot of confusion or any questions that people are really asking, because a lot of people now that have been reintroduced to you or have discovered you for the first time are seeing you this way, which is, in my opinion, the most authentic version of you that I've seen.
Which was the thought behind all of it, because I knew that I was going to put the cowboy hat back on before The Road started, but I didn't do it until The Road started because my thought was, here's the brand, here's the true starting line for my career. If you've known me up to this point, you're about to see me in a whole different light that's going to feel like gasoline was thrown onto my career. And if you don't know me, this is the first impression that you're going to have of me. So that's where we started it and based it off of. But like I don't know if you had a chance to hear the song, but the hook of the song is "Bury This Cat in the Hat when the good Lord calls me home." My co-writer Jordan Walker is who had the hook. When he told me I got this title called Cat in the Hat, I thought he was high. I thought he was thinking of like a Dr. Seuss song, like Cat in the Hat. But when he told me the title, he didn't know that I was kind of formulating all this, and it was like the perfect thing. I was like, this is how it starts right here with Cat in the Hat, So it was again, man, just kind of like all coming together at the right time, I think.
That's cool. I love Jordan. I mean, we're not good friends or anything, but I just have enjoyed watching his career since he got to town when him and Walker were doing their thing.
Yeah, man.
To see him having all the success as a writer, he's really incredibly talented. I love his voice too.
Man, one of the best guys in a room, man. Like when you get him zeroed in. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to write with him.
I wanted to.
He's sharp. He's really good.
That's really cool. How's your family situation changed since all of this?
I don't think my family situation has changed as much. I think, if anything, like my dad especially, he was there at the finale and the show before at Marathon. you could just see the pride on his face. He knows how hard I've worked at this, and I think he's seeing that and pay off, and there's just this pride that comes out, and he's definitely getting softer the older he gets, which is really cool to see.
Yeah.
But I don't think my family situation changed. But I will say, I wasn't prepared so much for when the finale happened for the amount of calls and text and social media buzz that I would receive.
Wow.
Because before the finale, I saw this like uptick of increase in fans, but not this like just out of nowhere skyrocket. You wake up, you hear the stories of, I went to sleep with 50,000 followers and I woke up with 300,000. Like that wasn't the case, but we're definitely gaining and gaining monthly listeners. But I'll tell you, I don't know what happened, but after that finale hit, man, I woke up to 500 text messages.
Yeah.
And, like, my social media just kind of blowing up. And it took about a couple days to get my mind prepared to go through all that stuff. But I went through every text message and replied, because partly a lot of those people were people that has watched me grind for a long time. And I wanted to make sure that people didn't think, well, if I didn't respond, that they were like, oh, he won some big TV show. Now he's got the big head. He can't, take us back, And some of these people I might not have talked to in 12 years, 15 years, but I wanted to make sure to go back through and,
That's awesome.
and hit everybody back. So I feel like I can see that shifting a little bit, like people starting to come around that I hadn't talked to. I hadn't talked to in a while. But I appreciate it, though, I want them to recognize, what I'm doing.
Means they're paying attention.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's part of the job. It's part of the territory. It's kind of like, when an artist says they don't like signing autographs. It's like, well, that's
wrong business to be in.
Yeah, like if you don't like it, you might need to pick something else, because that's what you're supposed to do. It's
all right,
not
so
just
folks, he
singing songs.
still has the same number. If he doesn't text you back, he hates you. Just kidding.
Thanks, Steven.
Don't screw this up. How's your we'll kind of end it on this. I know you said you got to get in the tree stand a couple times in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Just curious, how, let's think back 3 years ago, the same time in the year. I mean, it's oftentimes the only time that we get out in the woods. Yeah. What were the thoughts going through your head this time?
That's a great question.
Versus sitting in a tree 3 years ago, looking at a new year with probably a lot of questions, a lot of doubt, a lot of goals, and then now to have accomplished what you've accomplished, to sit there. What's going through your head in those
Gratitude. Yeah, I got into the outdoors because I knew I needed a yin to the yang. Our business is so crazy. We're around people all the time. We have to be on, with what we do, being, artists, and, songwriting is the complete, the outdoors is the complete opposite of that, where you're by yourself, you're still, it's therapeutic for me. So it was always a place that I could go to process things and, talk to God, get song ideas, and just iron some things out in my head. And a few years ago, to your point, it would have been a place where I would go and strategize on what's next, of like, all right, accomplish this. I would formulate things and pray. But now, man, my prayer is to truly be in the moment. To where I'm like, Lord, I don't want to think about music right now. I just want to sit here and enjoy this, and a passion that you've given me that I love so much. And I just want to be still, because I know that I need to be still in those moments, because I know that this year potentially could be the biggest year of my career. And I want to be ready for that. Like, I want to be well rested. I want to be able to be ready to go and work as hard as it calls for, instead of feeling like there's been recently some artists that sort of come out of like, they're kind of having nervous breakdowns, where they're kind of like, I can't handle this, and I my heart goes out to those people, because like we all know, like they can work you to death if you let them, and but I'm such a hard worker that, I could run the risk at that if I'm not taking care of myself in the right ways. And so, yeah, it's just gratitude, man. It was just a lot of answered prayers to have won, the road. And we'll see where it goes from here. But like I said, man, I'm just I'm a passenger. I'm gonna wake up every day and do what I do. Today's my first day back, of the new year. Tomorrow I get back in the writing room and start writing songs, and we start going through emails and taking meetings and looking at what's next. But I can tell you, I've got music ready and teed up and ready to come out. So at the very least, that's going to be happening.
That ain't gonna be a problem for sure. Not for you.
We're going to be at Stagecoach in April. I'm looking forward to that.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
That's a bucket list one for us. For
yeah,
sure.
And so whatever else is to come, he's got it all under control. Is all I can tell you.
Did you kill anything this weekend?
Yes, So the last day of the season was yesterday.
Yeah.
I shot 2 does for the freezer. So Happy New Year to my freezer.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I was in Texas. Well, the day before yesterday, my brother needed to get some meat for the freezer, so he went out and shot a doe. And then a few days before, right after Christmas, the day after Christmas, I was in Texas. I got a big old hog and a nice buck out there as well.
Nice.
So I had a good little run right through here.
You made the most of your time off.
Man. So it was a great way to sort of get away for a little bit.
And to your point earlier, it's like I think so many people look at country music and hunting and the outdoor lifestyle. It's like, oh, if you play country music, you hunt. And for a lot of people, it is a lifestyle thing. You've grown up doing it or whatnot. But I think a lot of artists, especially in country, it's like they start to realize how cutthroat this business is, and the grind is so exhausting. And there is something to be said for a lot of us just want to get out there to escape everything and just sit in the quiet and just be there alone with your thoughts, because we don't have a lot of time to do that. And I think a lot of people are, oh, these guys just want to go kill something. I mean, like, well, yeah, I love the conservation aspect of it. I love venison, love eating it. But at the same time also, there's plenty of times where I don't even take a gun with me, or I
get
any
more
intention of shooting
enjoyment
anything.
out of the work aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like bush hogging fields.
Yeah,
and
prepping food plots and getting stuff ready.
all that stuff. Like it's mindless work for me, where it's the only thing that I can do that I don't think about music. Like for just those short, few hours at a time. But you're right. It's you gotta. There's an old clip that Hank Williams said a long time ago. You got to have a hobby.
Yeah.
And I thought years ago, I remember literally thinking, all right, I'm either going to try to get really good at golf or just spend my time in the outdoors.
But you are a good golfer.
Decent. I don't play enough to be, like really good. Like some of our friends, Tyler Reeve and all those guys, I mean, they're like great golfers, but
I think I picked the golf route instead of hunting. But
well, see,
I still love it.
My thought was behind it, and I'd love to know your thought. The reason I picked the outdoors is golf for me, you're probably going to go golfing with a couple buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all got those buddies that about hole number 3 or 4, they're, hey, you want a beer?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're into drinking a beer too.
Hey, you ready to gamble?
Yeah. And
then you're in the clubhouse after for 2 hours.
And then it's, well, let's run down losers, So like you try to escape what you ultimately fall back into.
Yeah.
And so my thought was, all right, the outdoors, at least for like deer hunting, turkey hunting, most of the time you're going to kind of be by yourself. You might have a buddy, but he's hunting and he's in a stand 300-400 yards away. But you're at least setting by yourself, unless you're filming or whatever. But you're kind of by yourself. That's why I like it.
Yeah. When I started playing golf, when I wasn't very good, I would play by myself a lot. Just
because
I
you were
wanted to
ashamed.
get
Yeah,
good.
you're like, I don't want anybody to see what.
Well, I knew how good like a guy like Tyler is, and I'm also the kind of person that's like, all right, if you're better at me at something, I'm going to figure out how to learn how to do it, and I'm going to work my ass off to be better at it than you.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like months and months of solitude, working by myself to try to figure out the game, to where I found that same escape that I was looking for in the woods, and then I got good at it and started playing with people all the time. So now I've lost that, and it's like now I need another escape.
Something
so
else.
it's back to the woods most of the time. But it's for me with most things, even hunting. I remember when I got into bow hunting, 20 years ago, it was like, oh, I suck at this and I want to get good at it. So I spent all my time, shooting a target, getting in the woods as much as I could. I didn't want to kill anything with anything but a bow.
Yeah.
But then, one thing leads to another. You get a group of buddies that are all good bow hunters, so now you're all shooting together and you're hunting together, and it's not really that solitude that you were looking for. So all that to say, I think you just have to find your niche and find things that work for you, and whatever it is that is your escape or your guilty pleasure, it's like lean into it and go for it. Because I think so many people get lost in the minutia and the day-to-day bullshit of what is the music industry, and it's cutthroat, it's corrupt, it's a lot of things. So you got to have that escape, I think.
What's your escape, Steven?
I like to play golf and watch football.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Football's a good one.
Because, like, I'm watching this game for 3 hours, and I mean, sometimes the ads can take you down a loophole in your brain, but, like, I'm thinking about, I'm watching the game, and I'm not thinking about all the other things, and I love movies.
Okay.
Because it's a whole, you put yourself in whatever that world is,
Mm-hmm.
See, I wish I was better at stuff like that, because I find myself, every commercial, first thing I reach for is my phone, and I'm like...
Yeah.
social media, or I'm checking emails. Like, I can't just stay locked in, but for whatever reason, like, I get out in the woods.
Yeah, it's different though.
And I'm like,
yeah.
All right,
yeah.
like I got a movie playing out in front of me here. Like I can see
totally.
stuff. And so.
What was one of the most craziest texts you got from a congratulations from a person that you're like, how did they get my number? But that's awesome.
Good question.
I don't really know of, like, maybe like a celebrity or something, or like
something
well,
that you were like, I don't know, just anything that comes.
Well, there was definitely a few in there that were Florida numbers, because I'm from North Florida. That we had no text history in my phone. I did not have the number saved, but it was, "Hey man, congratulations. So awesome. I'm so proud of you. Blah, 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 blah. Man, I always knew you could do it." And I'm like, thanks so much. And I don't have a clue who it is.
Yeah. Aunt Carla passed on the number to her group.
Yeah. How many times do you guys see, like, on your social media that this is a good one? Where people are like, "I'm your cousin." And I'm like, "I've never met you before in my life."
Yeah,
sort of thing. And like, in their minds, you are cousins, and you may be like ninth cousins.
Right.
Yeah, and
but
they've been
you've
talking
never,
about you in the hometown forever,
like
but you
never
did.
met them before in your life. But they're telling all their friends, "Oh yeah, I'm cousins. Steve Lyles, man, he's
we got the same last name."
Yeah, his sister's uncle.
Sister's uncle's
uncle's
cousin
daddy's-
married my brother's sister's mom.
Yeah.
I get those a lot. Yeah.
We're 19th cousins.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fun,
we've had a few of those. I didn't have a very big family
Okay.
on either side really growing up. Not
See,
huge.
I didn't think I did either until I
Yeah,
started
it
getting these
turns out
text
you did.
messages.
Well,
Yeah,
Same thing. I grew up
apparently.
in Minnesota or in New York,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of Gundersons.
Okay.
I guess most Norwegians settled in New York and Minnesota, apparently. And a bunch of people have come out like, "No, you don't even spell your name the same way I do. It's an E-N." He's like, "Well, no, actually, I looked back and we are distant relatives. Your great-grandfather and my great-grandfather were cousins."
Wow.
So it's been kind of cool to figure out
Yeah.
some long-lost relatives. And then I figured out some of them were full of shit and there was no relation. But
Yeah, I'd say probably 99% of the ones that I've read is probably full of it. But
yeah. And again, this hasn't happened in quite some time. It was like right when Angel Eyes and some other songs were actually doing something, and then those people come out of the woodwork. Then they don't really want anything to do with you when you're not having all the success.
I want you to know, man, not just Eric and I, but like I know that this town is so pumped for you because especially like the inner part of the town that's known that you've deserved like people to see and hear how good you are and how much you've worked. Like people here, they know that and they know you've done that, but the outsiders looking in, they don't really. They're just like, but we're like so pumped for you.
Well, man, I feel it. And
Good.
That means a lot.
I hope
like
you do,
I
yeah.
really do feel it from the writing community and other artists and guys like you, that have invited me to come be on the podcast, and like help tell my story. And so that means a lot, man. It's
and we invited you before we knew you won.
well, hey, that's even better.
Yeah, see?
It's even better.
Yeah, the timing of it actually worked out great.
Yeah, it worked
if
out
we
better
could have
than-
shot it like on the 20th and then released it on the 22nd, that would have been good. But
no, it's I definitely feel it, and it feels good, man. And I've always been a guy too that's like, man, I want to see my friends all succeed. Yeah. Like there's enough room for everyone here to succeed.
Yeah,
like Drew Baldridge is an example of a guy that's similar in the fact of, man, he's worked really hard to get to where he is, and he's he's doing great things right now. And so I like seeing people that's put in their time win, and especially our buddies that we all know that's deserved it. And so
you
means a lot.
got a buddy that told me you won like a long time ago. He's like, don't tell anybody, and I was like, so I kept it, Mom.
When did you actually find out?
Yeah. Well, we knew the night of the finale.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So that was back in April?
1st of April. So the hardest secret I've ever had to
That's
keep.
a tough one.
But I don't know, like every writing room I would go in, because I didn't tell anyone, but I'd go in a room, hey, I heard you won the road. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
blink twice if you won.
Yeah, I mean, but also, too, the reality is there was a lot of industry people there that night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They saw the 3 finalists.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So they knew who was in the finals. All the fans were kicked out, and they did all this behind the scenes. So, there wasn't this big confetti falling moment.
Everybody
or
also
that kind of stuff.
spreading it on their socials or whatever.
Yeah, so I think it maybe some of it was reading the room that night, because again, if they've got the voting devices, they kind of can see how the night went. A little bit of some speculation, sort of thing. But yeah, man,
That's awesome.
been cool.
That's really cool. Well,
you're gonna have a fun year, and you've already had a fun year. It's gonna be fun.
Man, I'm excited, honestly.
I'm excited to watch it, see what happens for you.
Thank you. Let's get together. Let's
do it. Would love that.
Let's
Hey, we're working on a new record, so
nice. Well, tell me about it. What's
Yeah, we've got 4 or 5 songs tracked and pretty much ready to go, and we're gonna go back in, cut I think 3 or 4 more. We've got 2 in this batch that we're super stoked about that a buddy of ours wrote.
Yep.
We've cut outside songs over the course of our career, and obviously we want to be writers in town also. Like, I mean, we've had outside cuts, and I think you can't be an artist, in my opinion, that wants to have outside cuts but then refuse to cut outside songs.
Hey, that's good.
And, I think the most success we've had is songs that we've written ourselves. So I think we try to lean into that and lean into what's worked in that formula. So, the business obviously is completely different. Like we've learned a lot even just doing this podcast and talking to people and kind of figuring out, all right, what are you doing? You're fresh to town. You've had all this success real quick. You've been here for 20 years. You've had success here. What happened in the middle? So you're almost cherry picking in a sense and kind of just getting advice from everybody. So I think we've hired a new manager, and so got a manager for the first time in a while.
Nice.
And just trying to assemble the team and do things in a strategic way that we don't just want to throw stuff out there and have it get lost. So we want to be purposeful with how we're doing it. And
it's a little more first record, Love and Theft, and a little more Eaglesy than we've done in a while. So it's kind of fun.
Nice. And is that I kind of share with you guys the evolution of my career, and did you guys kind of go through that also, or is it more of a obviously you guys have put out music for a long time, and so how has your evolution sort of went as artist?
I mean, we've had a cool and a unique story. I mean, we were more or less put together at the very beginning of our career, and we were a 4-piece, and the goal was to be, a modern day Eagles, where it was all about, the 4-piece harmony, 4-part harmony, and then having 4 different lead singers that, we could have different almost subgenres within our sound, where one guy can take these type of songs, one guy can take these. So, going from that to them being a duo or a trio, having our first success as a trio, and then going from that to being a duo, and we lost that record deal, and literally the day we were going to sign at Sony, Brian called us and was like, "Hey guys, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I want to do a solo rock project." And we're like, "All right, let's just see what happens." So we signed as a duo, and we've had a lot of great success, and the stars kind of aligned for us very early. And one thing I think I've realized is it doesn't matter if you have success early in your career, late in your career. The people that are successful and kind of stand the test of time are the people that work their asses off, and the people that understand work ethic and what it takes. A lot of people have success and then they realize, oh, this is going to be a grind to get back to where I was at. I don't want to do this anymore. And I think for us, it's always just fed us, and that the drive and desire to achieve that success again, I think, is kind of what's kept us going. So
the podcast has been cool, man, because we're on the road at least, for filming that, and it gets us here to town.
Gets you visible.
Keeps our face out there.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so people are showing interest that haven't been interested in a long time. And that's
people don't know what you're doing unless you tell them.
That's very true, man.
Yeah, we could be making the best music we've ever made, and it's just sitting on our hard drive, and we're excited about it over here, but everyone's like, all right, those guys are done.
You got to be your biggest cheerleader. Heck, I've a lot of people, you guys, I'm sure, get this question all the time. Who's some of your favorite artists currently? And in my mind, I'm thinking myself.
Yeah.
Like, I listen to my music more than probably anybody in this world, because I feel like you've got to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yep.
One, you should make the music that you want to listen to.
Yep, I agree with that.
And two, like you said, if you're not gonna believe in it and be a cheerleader, well, then how is anyone else going to? Sort of thing. And so, I think that, man, you just, that's really cool though to know that you guys are still in it, and like I've always got the sense from you guys that you guys are lifers in it too.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And we've been together 18 years and never even thought about breaking up.
Yeah.
We didn't even have one moment like that.
Yeah, and even like through like
y'all should counsel Florida Georgia Line. Hey, get them in on the podcast and be like, how'd y'all make it 18 years? Well, we did this. And then how you put it
It's so funny. That's a good idea.
Well, we have a lot of history with them too. I mean, Tyler dated Steven's sister for a while. Yeah. And, like, we were all on tour together during Cruise, like going from nothing to the anomaly that became. Yeah. So we were there, had a front seat to all of it. And, I mean, I've been seeing like Lauren Watkins, I think, kind of started the little trend by saying, am I wrong here in thinking that we should bring bro country back? Was it really that bad or whatever she said? And then, it's kind of created a little buzz around that. And like you were saying, funny. It's a more of a genre with multi subgenres. And I think what bro country, what those two guys did for country music, what Aldine and, Blake and other people have kind of done in ushering in that bro country sound, country music right now wouldn't be what it is, and we wouldn't even be seeing this resurgence of the 90s country and stuff if it wasn't for that.
And here's why opinion. I think it works. Mm-hmm. They're the best at it.
Yeah.
They're the best at bro country.
Yeah.
They are bro country.
Yeah, man.
100%.
You can't beat them at their own game. And there's been, I think the saturation came after them when everybody wanted to go do that. But it's like they can come back at any point in time. And you imagine if they come out with a, that's how we do it around here or whatever, would crush.
I mean, I've heard songs that they never released that are absolute bangers. Yes. Like, if they put it out tomorrow, it will be #1 in 10 weeks. Yeah. Like, I mean.
Well, I would pay a ticket to go see Florida Georgia Line again. I can tell you. I mean, and there's a lot of people out there that would too. So I hope it works. I hope they find a way to get back together because.
Yeah, and it's music is music. Not everybody has to love it, but it does things. It makes you feel things, even if it makes you hate it. Like you're feeling something. Like they're moving the needle, and I think it's good for any format. If they're doing it. And obviously, there's demand for it because people are wanting it.
So. Yeah, I mean, I remember being so excited to go see them because my sister was dating Tyler for a little while, so we had the inside of like the beginning, and it was during that time. I remember just being pumped, like could not wait to go see them play at 12th and Porter or whatever, like, oh, I love their show. It's
I remember
so
one
fun.
Night we all went to see them
dope.
at the Wild Horse. Remember that night?
Yeah, man.
And like, there's nobody in the room, but we're all like, I mean, they're all our friends.
So
like, we're down front row
too.
listening to it. I remember they played that song "Badass Truck."
Yeah,
it was the first time I had ever heard it, but I'd heard Steven singing this hook for months just because he had heard it, and I was like, all right, that's
one of their old ones. I remember. I don't even know if it made like an album, but like. Because I went and watched them at a 12th and Porter showcase. I think it was them and Chase Rice.
Yeah, I was there for that one.
Yeah, we were.
And I remember they had this, like, back before they, like, hit a big cruise, they had that song, like, a little bit of Florida, a little bit of Georgia, a whole lot of country. And and it was like, what is this? Like, it was so different, than anything. But, man, they just.
It's fun.
Crazy.
Yeah. I hope that all these rumblings and the shit that BK's been posting and stuff, I hope that there's something to it. I think
there's got to be something a little bit behind it, I would think.
Yeah. We all have mutual friends that are in both of their circles, so
we're trying to get the inside scoop. For
years you've heard, no, there's no way, it's not happening, and then all those people are like, right now they're like, I don't know. So
matter of fact, I told Adam Craig and which I know you guys know, and Jordan Walker, I was like, boys, call me crazy. you might better start digging through your catalog to find you some Florida Georgia Line songs and start sending them to Brian and Tyler and saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just get in before everybody else. So here you go. Like,
Man, that's funny.
But they have to also be sitting back thinking, all right, this town's clamoring for us to do something again. Like, can we put our differences aside and figure this out? I mean, I think it would be a good thing. I really
tell you what. Y'all just let me come open for you, and I'll support it all the way. So.
Exactly. Same here.
Yeah.
He said he's available.
That's right.
He'll make it happen.
Well, man, we really appreciate you coming on
Yeah,
today.
it's been
Thank
fun,
you guys,
It's been
man.
a pleasure to catch up with you a little bit. And
Absolutely.
kind of get a firsthand, debriefing of how all this went down. So we really appreciate you. Thrilled for you. Proud
Thank
of
you
you.
guys.
And grateful to call you a friend. So
Same
thank
here.
you.
Thanks.
Enjoyed it, boys.
Adam Sanders, y'all. Check him out. Brand new music on the way. He's a badass. Appreciate y'all.